Hello again, I'm Blunty. Last night I went into the Sydney offices of Sony Computer Entertainment, I drank their beer, I ate their pizza, and I got to playtest a couple of games that are coming out real soon now. The games were God of War 3 and Heavy Rain. And while I can't give you a full review of these things, because I literally got to sit down and play these things for maybe half an hour each, just to sort of get a feel for them, get an idea of what they're about. So I'm going to give you my first impressions of them, with reviews to come later once I actually get copies of the game to review. Let's start with God of War 3. I don't need to say much about this. If you own a PlayStation 3, chances are you're going to buy this game anyway, regardless of what I say, because God of War has been a wildly popular series on the PlayStation consoles, both handheld and the main console. What I can tell you from my experience, well, let me put it this way. I played it for about half an hour straight. I played through a couple of levels. I beat some mini bosses and I beat up a god and tore his head off and all that sort of. I was cackling wildly almost the entire way through. I was having a blast playing this thing. And I didn't actually play the previous titles in the series, and this is the final installment, so I'm not sure how well I'll keep up with the story, if there is a story. But it's a run, hack, slash, beat up, pull people's heads apart and snap people in half and all that sort of game. I'm really not that interested in the story, to tell you the truth. It doesn't really matter that much to me in this game. What matters to me in this game is it is incredibly fun, hack slash beat 'em up, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I was laughing all the way through. I, picked up guys and used them as battering rams to go through tons of other guys. I beat up a massive centaur. I hijacked a cyclops. I jumped on his back, grabbed his eyebrow, and led him around to beat up hordes of other people. And then when I was done using him, I pulled out his eyeball, threw it away, and he fell down. It was just an absolute cack. I mean, this is really violent stuff. There was blood gushing everywhere and all that sort of stuff. It's just that sort of visceral sort of experience, and it's a lot of fun to play. Tons of fun just throwing bits of body everywhere, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the full game and giving this a full go through and giving it a review. Really fun. Now, Heavy Rain. Now, this is the interesting one. This is a game that isn't really a game, but it is a game. It's a movie, but it isn't a movie. I said to some of the Sony guys last night when they asked me about what I thought about it, and I said, this is the kind of thing that people are going to have to play for themselves before they really get it. When we were introduced to the game, they gave us a spiel about what it was like. They told us about the four main characters that you'll get to play throughout the experience and all that sort of stuff. And then one of the Sony guys grabbed your control and he led us through a scene. And as I was watching, I'm thinking, I don't get this. The guy, you're walking through it, and it felt like a series of quick time events. You walk here, you do this action, you press this to make this happen, then you walk over here and you do this, and it felt a little bit like the old point and click adventures from LucasArts. You just click, and you got to do the right thing at the right time to make the thing happen. And I wasn't really taken with it. But then we got set loose on our own. We sat down at a bunch of consoles I had arranged, and each had a different sort of set of scenes to play through. And the scene I played through, I was the first one to play through the scene, and I was basically playing this detective guy, and he went into a convenience store to talk to the guy behind the counter whose family member was a victim of the killer you're trying to track down. And so I was trying to get information about what happened to him so I can track down the killer and all that sort of stuff. And when I played through it, I talked to the guy and he wouldn't give me anything, and I went to the back of the store to get an asthma inhaler or something, and then an armed robber came in and started holding up the store, and I snuck around and, jumped out in front of the killer. And the way I played through it, I was able to talk the armed robber down, and he sort of left the store. And I watched like three other people play through this exact same scene in three completely different ways. One of them got themselves shot. One of them got the guy behind the counter shot and killed. And that's the kind of point of this game. It's an experience. It's like a movie where you are the director. Every single thing you do in this game, you have lots of different options, and the story can branch out in a whole bunch of different ways. And apparently one of the four main characters can die along the way, and that completely changes the way the story unfolds. The basics of the story is you're trying to hunt down a serial killer, basically, and you play four different characters on the four different stories that apparently intertwine and branch. And it's a really fascinating experience. And I'll be really interested to see how people react to this, because I've got a kind of a feeling that people are going to love this or hate it, and the people who hate it probably aren't going to quite get it or think it's the pacing's too slow because it's not an action game. I mean, you walk through this and it's emotional, it's visceral, and you're faced with choices all the time, you know. And it's not that sort of morality thing where in some games you have, you know, an option to be good or bad. In this one, it's not good or bad options. You know, some options feel more morally right than others, but sometimes it's not the right thing to do, and it's a really it'll suck you in. I mean, I only played this thing very briefly, but I can imagine sitting at this thing for hours on end, just getting absorbed into the story as it unfolds, and you are in control of the way it unfolds. And there's, like I said before, there's so many different ways this thing can branch out. You know, in some parts of the story, you have to end up at a certain point, but how you get there is completely different. That can affect the rest of the story, and it was a fascinating experience. And like I said at the beginning of this, it's something you are going to have to play for yourself before you really get it. You can watch all the reviews you like. You can watch as many people play through it as you like. You can, you know, watch all the trailers you like. But you're not going to get this game until you play it. It's so important. And I asked whether they're coming out with a playable demo of this thing, and the woman I spoke to said she wasn't sure. She didn't think so. I think that's a mistake. I think they need a playable demo of this to get people really sort of hooked into how it works. But if it doesn't wind up having a playable demo when it comes out in like a couple of months or whatever it is, go to someone's house who's got it, or rent it, or whatever, or just take a chance and buy it if you're sure you're going to be into this sort of stuff. Because yeah, once you get going with it, this is unlike any other game I've ever played, and I don't know if game is the right word for it. It's sort of an interactive movie or a choose-your-own-adventure book mashed into a game sort of thing, and it looks amazing. I mean, you've seen in the trailers and all that sort of stuff, they're sort of approaching a photorealistic thing, and in the cutscenes and stuff that play, you know, when a conversation happens and you're not in direct control of the character's movements, it looks wonderful. When you are in control of the characters walking around, it looks a bit weird. You know, you get caught and stuff, and it gets a bit jittery, which sort of, you don't notice that in some other games because the whole game plays like that. But when the set animations are so good and everything looks so beautiful, and then when you're walking around, you get caught on the side of a thing and you jiggle a bit, it sort of breaks. So that's a bit of a problem, really. It sort of snaps you out of the experience. Oh, that's right, I'm playing a video game kind of thing. But you're probably going to get past that pretty quickly, I would guess. Maybe I wasn't playing Final Code. I didn't know because it's not out for a little while yet. But yeah, Heavy Rain is a must-see experience on the PlayStation 3, and this is something that it really shows off the hardware power of the PlayStation. It looks so beautiful. Same thing goes for God of War 3, actually. That's, you know, it's nowhere near as approaching photorealistic kind of thing, but, you know, throwing around these flaming swords, and the light from the flames on the sword sort of reflects off things, and if you're not paying attention to how you're fighting, you can get sort of taken away with how beautiful everything looks. But like I said, I'm going to give these things a full proper review when I get the copies of the games to review. But for now, this is sort of a first impressions things, and they both look really, really impressive. And these are both, of course, exclusive titles to the PlayStation 3. And yeah, check out both these games when they come out. I approve. I'm looking forward to them very, very much. Catch you next time.